Let me tell you something today. You are not alone. Even when the nights feel long, when the weight of the world presses on your shoulders, God has sent His angels to watch over you. The Bible speaks of angels as ministering spirits sent to guard and protect those who belong to Him. And if you look closely, if you open your heart, you will see the signs that they are near. Sign number one, a sudden feeling of peace. There are moments in life when the weight of the world presses so heavily upon our shoulders that we can barely breathe. Worry wraps itself around our hearts, fear grips our minds, and no matter how much we try to push forward, the burden remains. But then, without warning, something changes. In the middle of our struggle, in the depths of our despair, a peace washes over us. Calm, unshakable, and unlike anything this world can offer. This peace is not the kind that comes from external circumstances. It is not the result of problems being solved or troubles suddenly disappearing. It comes even when nothing around us has changed. The storm is still raging. The challenges are still real. But something deep within shifts. The anxious thoughts that once consumed us begin to fade. The tension that gripped our souls loosens its hold. It is as if an invisible hand has reached into the depths of our being, quieting every fear and replacing it with a presence so strong, so undeniable that we cannot explain it. This is not ordinary peace. It is not the temporary relief we feel when we distract ourselves with entertainment or convince ourselves that everything will be fine. No, this peace is supernatural. It is the kind of peace that surpasses all understanding, the kind that cannot be manufactured or faked. It comes not from our own strength, but from someone greater than ourselves. There are those who have felt this peace in the most unexpected moments. A man overwhelmed by financial ruin, sitting in his home, uncertain of how he will provide for his family. The weight of failure is crushing him, and then suddenly, as if heaven itself had stepped into the room, he feels it. The fear is still there, but it no longer controls him. A woman grieving the loss of a loved one, unable to imagine life without them, drowning in sorrow. And then, without warning, a deep stillness settles in her heart. Not an absence of pain, but a presence greater than the pain. It is in the hospital rooms where doctors deliver difficult news, and yet, against all logic, peace remains. It is in the quiet moments of prayer when the words run out and the heart simply rests in silence, knowing without proof, believing without sight that all will be well. It is in the midnight hours when sleep refuses to come, when the mind races with worry, and yet something unseen begins to whisper, "Be still." This peace does not mean the absence of trouble. It does not mean we will never feel fear, never experience hardship, never face uncertainty. But it does mean that even in the worst of times, we are not alone. It is a peace that holds us together when everything else is falling apart. It is the assurance that no matter what tomorrow brings, there is something greater at work, something unseen but deeply felt. Something powerful enough to calm the storm, not always the storm outside, but the storm within. Sign number two, flashes of light or orb. There are moments when, out of the corner of your eye, you catch a sudden flicker, a glimmer of light that wasn't there before. You turn your head, expecting to see something tangible, something explainable, but nothing is there. And yet, in your heart, you know you saw it. A brief flash, a soft glow, perhaps a shimmering orb that appeared for just a second before vanishing into the air. Some dismiss these experiences as tricks of the eye, illusions of the mind. But for those who have encountered them, they are anything but ordinary. These lights are not the artificial glow of a lamp or the reflection of the sun against a window. They come unexpectedly, often in moments of prayer, deep thought, or despair. They appear when you are seeking guidance, when your heart is weary, when you need a reminder that you are not alone. Some describe them as brilliant flashes, like a spark igniting in an empty room, while others see gentle, pulsating orbs that seem to float in the air, visible for just a moment before disappearing into the unseen. There are countless stories of people experiencing these divine flickers of light in times of great need. A woman sits by the bedside of her loved one, watching as they take their final breaths, grief pressing in from all sides. And then, just as the moment comes, she sees it, a bright shimmer near the doorway, almost as if a presence has entered the room. Peace washes over her, and she knows deep within that heaven has drawn near. A man kneels in prayer, burdened with decisions too heavy to carry alone. He opens his eyes, and for just a second, he sees a soft, glowing light in the darkness before it fades. He does not understand it, but he feels it. A reassurance that he is not facing this battle alone. These lights appear in the most unexpected places: homes, hospitals, places of worship, even along quiet roads where a weary traveler seeks direction. Some witness them during moments of worship, as if the very atmosphere shifts and the veil between heaven and earth becomes thin. Others see them in dreams, waking with a sense of peace they cannot explain. And then there are those who have never seen them with their physical eyes, but have felt their presence. A sudden warmth, a deep knowing, an undeniable awareness that something holy has entered the space. Skeptics will search for logical explanations. They will call it a trick of the brain, a random flicker caused by fatigue or imagination. But those who have seen these lights know better. They recognize them as divine moments, as whispers from the unseen, as gentle reminders that there is more to this world than what the eyes can perceive. They know that these glimpses are not coincidences, but rather invitations to believe. Sign number 3, a gentle breeze or brush against your skin. There are times when in the stillness of a room or the quiet of an empty place you feel something, a soft touch against your skin, a gentle breeze that moves past you even though the air is still. It is not the wind from an open window, not the draft of a fan, and yet it is real. It brushes against your cheek, glides over your arms, and for a fleeting moment, it feels as though someone unseen has drawn near. This sensation comes without warning, in moments when you least expect it. Perhaps you are sitting in deep thought, reflecting on the struggles of life, when suddenly you feel it, a tender movement across your shoulder, as though a hand has lightly rested there. You look around, expecting to see someone standing behind you, but no one is there. Your heart stirs, because even though you cannot see its source, you know this touch was not imagined. It was not just air moving at random. It was something intentional, something purposeful. For some, this experience comes at night, in the stillness before sleep. The room is silent, the world outside is at rest, and just as the mind begins to wander, a soft sensation passes over them. It is calming, almost protective, as though an unseen presence is watching over them, covering them in reassurance. They do not see who or what it is, but deep within they feel safe, as if wrapped in an invisible embrace. There are those who have felt this touch in times of deep sorrow. A woman grieving the loss of a loved one, sitting alone with her thoughts, overwhelmed by loneliness. And then, just as the tears begin to fall, she feels it, a delicate caress against her hair, as if someone is comforting her. It does not erase her pain, but it reminds her that she is not alone. A man standing in the middle of a crisis, uncertain of what to do next, suddenly feels a presence around him. A warmth moves through the air, a soft pressure against his back, like the encouragement of a hand saying, "Keep going." He turns quickly, expecting to see a friend offering support, but there is no one there. This experience is not bound by location. It happens in homes, in churches, in nature, even in the middle of a crowd. A person walking through a difficult season suddenly feels a gentle brush against their face, like a whisper from heaven, telling them to hold on. Another, lost in prayer, experiences a stillness in the room, and then, as if from nowhere, a cool breath of air moves past them. Though the windows are closed and the doors are shut, they cannot explain it, but they know in that moment something greater than themselves is at work. Skeptics will say it is nothing more than a draft, a trick of the nerves, a fleeting illusion. But those who have felt it know better. They know that sometimes when we need it most, when words are not enough, heaven speaks not in a voice, not in a vision, but in the quiet touch of an unseen hand. Sign number 4, unusual but comforting sense. There are moments in life when, without explanation, a scent fills the air, one that should not be there, one that carries no logical source, yet lingers just long enough to stir something deep within. It is not the fragrance of a candle or the scent of flowers placed in a room. It is not the lingering aroma of someone passing by. It appears suddenly, unexpectedly, and in a way that feels undeniably personal. It is as if, for just a brief moment, heaven has stepped close enough for you to notice. These scents are not overpowering. They do not overwhelm the senses or call for attention. Instead, they arrive gently, like a whisper carried on the wind. Some experience the delicate fragrance of roses, though no flowers are in sight. Others detect a familiar perfume, one that reminds them of a loved one long past. And then there are those who, in the middle of prayer or deep reflection, are met with an aroma so pure, so comforting, that they are left with no doubt, this is not of this world. For many, these scents come in moments of sorrow, as if to remind them that they are not alone. A woman mourning the loss of her mother suddenly smells the perfume she always wore. It is soft, faint, but unmistakable. She looks around, searching for an explanation, but there is none. And just like that, the grief that felt unbearable is eased, if only for a moment, by the quiet assurance that love does not end with this life. A man struggling through a season of despair finds himself sitting alone, questioning everything. And then, without reason, the unmistakable scent of lilies fills the air, though there are no flowers nearby. He does not understand it, but something in his heart knows this is a sign, a reminder that he is being watched over. These fragrances do not always come in sorrow. Sometimes they arrive in moments of stillness, in times of worship, or in places of prayer. A person kneels in quiet devotion, seeking guidance, longing for a sign that God is near. And then, just as their heart surrenders, a warm, sweet fragrance surrounds them, like a presence unseen but deeply felt. They open their eyes, expecting to see someone nearby, perhaps a candle lit somewhere, but there is nothing. The air should be empty, but it is not. The scent lingers just long enough to be recognized, then fades as softly as it arrived. There are those who have smelled these fragrances in hospital rooms, standing at the bedside of a loved one who is preparing to leave this world. Just as their soul prepares to take flight, a soft aroma fills the space, something light, something peaceful, something that does not belong to the air of this earth. It is not the scent of medicine, nor the smell of flowers left by visitors. It is something different, something unexplainable. And in that moment, the room does not feel heavy with grief, but full of something greater. Skeptics will argue that the mind plays tricks, that memory can conjure sense from the past, that the nose sometimes imagines what the heart longs for. But those who have encountered these fragrances know better. They know that sometimes, when words are not enough, heaven chooses to speak through something as simple, as fleeting, yet as powerful as a scent. Sign number 5, finding feathers in unexpected places. There are moments in life when the weight of the world presses heavily upon us, when the path ahead seems unclear, and we long for a sign that we are not alone. And then, in the most unexpected place, at the most unexpected time, a feather appears. It is not something you were looking for, not something you anticipated, yet there it is, gently resting on the ground before you, perched on your windowsill, floating softly through the air as if carried by unseen hands. You pause, staring at it, feeling something stir deep within. This is not just a feather. This is a message. These moments do not happen by chance. The world will say it is coincidence, that birds are everywhere, that feathers fall all the time. But when you find one exactly when you need it, exactly when your heart is heavy, when your mind is restless, when you have been praying for reassurance, then you know this feather was placed in your path for a reason. Some people discover them after a time of grief, when sorrow weighs down their soul. A woman mourning the loss of a loved one walks outside, her mind clouded with memories, when suddenly she sees it, a small white feather at her feet. There are no birds around, no reason for it to be there, yet there it is, pure and delicate. She picks it up, holding it carefully, and in that moment, she feels something she hasn't felt in days. Peace. A man struggling through the hardest season of his life, feeling abandoned, wondering if God still hears him, steps out of his car and notices a feather resting right on his windshield. He pauses, staring at it, realizing that just moments ago he had whispered a silent prayer for a sign. These feathers appear in places they should not be, inside homes with closed windows, on desks where no breeze has passed, tucked between the pages of a book that has not been touched in years. Sometimes they arrive in moments of prayer, appearing out of nowhere, a quiet reminder that heaven is near. Other times they are found on ordinary days when no trouble is present, but their meaning is no less significant. They are reminders that we are seen, that we are watched over, that we are never walking this journey alone. The people who find these feathers know that they are not accidents. They come at just the right moment, when the heart needs them most. Some carry them as tokens of reassurance, keeping them tucked in their Bibles, their pockets, their journals. Others take a picture, holding on to the memory of the day they received an answer they did not ask for, but desperately needed. These feathers are not just objects, they are reminders. They are signs. They are whispers from the unseen, gentle messages from above saying, you are loved. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. Sign number 6, repeated angel numbers. There are moments when you glance at the clock and it reads 11:11. You brush it off as coincidence. Then, later in the day, a receipt total comes to $4.44. Still, you think nothing of it. But then it happens again. The license plate in front of you displays 777. Or you wake up in the middle of the night and see 333 glowing on your bedside clock. It keeps happening over and over until you can no longer ignore it. Something is trying to get your attention. These are not just numbers. They appear with a purpose at specific moments in your life, whispering a message that cannot be spoken aloud. Some people notice them in times of doubt, when they are questioning their path, seeking guidance, wondering if God is listening. Just when they begin to feel lost, the numbers appear again and again, as if heaven itself is saying, I am here, keep going. Others see them in seasons of change, when they are stepping into the unknown, unsure if they are making the right decision. At just the right moment, they look up and see the same sequence of numbers they saw the day before, and a peace settles in their heart. It is not about seeking patterns where none exist. It is about recognizing the way God speaks, not always through a loud voice or a parting of the clouds, but through the small, quiet details that weave through our daily lives. When the same numbers appear over and over, when they follow you in unexpected places, they are not just random. They are signs placed before you to remind you that heaven is near, that you are not walking this road alone. Some people experience this during moments of deep prayer. They ask for direction, for clarity, for an answer to a question weighing on their heart. And then within hours or even minutes, they see the numbers flashing on a billboard, appearing on a phone call, printed on a stranger's shirt. A woman struggling with anxiety keeps seeing 222, a number of balance and harmony, just as she is asking for peace. A man unsure of his purpose keeps noticing 555, a sign of transformation and new beginnings, just as he is preparing for a change in his life. They do not seek out these numbers, the numbers find them. Skeptics will say it is all a trick of the mind, that people see what they want to see. But those who have experienced it know the truth. These numbers appear too frequently, too perfectly timed to be ignored. They come as reassurances in moments of fear, as confirmations in times of doubt, as gentle reminders that there is an order to the universe far beyond what we can see. They are not random. They are not meaningless. They are glimpses into the divine, messages from the unseen, reminders that we are guided, loved, and watched over. Sign number 7, hearing soft, whispered messages. There are moments when the noise of the world fades into silence, and in that stillness, something unexpected happens. A voice, soft, gentle, yet undeniable, whispers to your soul. It is not the voice of a person standing beside you, not a thought you formed in your own mind, but something greater, something beyond yourself. It is a message not spoken in the way human voices speak, yet it is heard just as clearly, echoing within the depths of your heart. These whispers often come in moments of deep need, when you are burdened with worry, when fear presses against your chest, when doubt clouds your mind. Just as you begin to feel overwhelmed, a quiet voice cuts through the storm. It does not shout, does not demand attention, but speaks with authority, calming the chaos within. You may be sitting in your car, lost in thought, when you suddenly hear it. You are not alone. You may be standing at a crossroads, unsure of which way to go, when a simple phrase rises within you. Trust the path. These words are not your own, yet they feel as though they have been placed directly into your spirit, carrying a weight far beyond their sound. Some hear these whispers in times of danger, when a decision must be made in an instant. A man walking home late at night suddenly hears a voice urging him, turn left. He obeys without questioning, only to later learn that trouble was waiting on the path he nearly took. A mother watching over her sick child hears the words, pray now. She bows her head, and as she prays, an unexplainable peace fills the room. Others experience these whispers in times of grief, when sorrow threatens to consume them. A woman mourning the loss of someone dear sits in silence, unable to speak, unable to cry, feeling as though her heart is breaking beyond repair. Then, in the quiet, she hears it. They are with me. It is not a sound that fills the room, yet it fills her soul, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. She does not know how she heard it, but she knows it was real. These whispers can come through prayer when the soul is open and listening. A man seeking direction kneels in stillness, waiting for an answer. For a long time there is nothing but silence. And then gently a phrase enters his heart: be patient. It is not what he wanted to hear, but it is what he needed. The answer does not come in thunder or fire, but in a whisper so subtle he could have missed it if he was not paying attention. Skeptics will say it is nothing more than the subconscious mind, the brain filling in the silence with its own thoughts. But those who have experienced it know better. These words arrive in ways too perfect, too timely, too profound to be mere coincidence. They do not come as passing thoughts, but as sacred moments, as if heaven itself has leaned in close, speaking softly to the heart. Sign number 8. Mysterious help in times of trouble. There are moments in life when trouble comes swiftly, without warning. A sudden accident, a dangerous situation, a moment when all seems lost. And then, from nowhere, help arrives. Not always in the form of a person you can name, not always in a way you can explain, but it comes. Just in time, just enough to bring you through. You look back later, searching for an answer, but none can be found. You were saved, but by whom? The person who helped is nowhere to be found. The circumstances surrounding your rescue defy logic, and deep in your soul you know this was no ordinary event. It happens on the road when a driver loses control of their car, skidding toward disaster, when suddenly they feel hands grip the wheel, though their own hands are frozen in fear. The car steadies, danger is avoided, and when they pull over, breathless and shaken, they realize no one else was in the car with them. A woman caught in a riptide, fighting against the pull of the waves, feels herself sinking when out of nowhere a strong hand lifts her above the water and brings her to shore. She turns to thank her rescuer, only to find no one there. Some have encountered strangers who appeared just when they needed them most, only for those strangers to disappear without a trace. A man stranded on a cold night, his car broken down, begins to fear for his life. Then, out of the darkness, someone appears. A kind face, a strong presence. They fix the car, offer words of encouragement, and walk away. The man turns to call after them, only to find they are gone. He searches, but there is no sign they were ever there. He knows what he experienced, yet there is no explanation for it. These moments happen not just in physical danger, but in times of emotional and spiritual crisis. A person drowning in despair, ready to give up, suddenly feels a warmth, a presence so strong and peaceful that their burdens feel lighter. They do not see anyone, they hear no words, yet they know without a doubt that they have been touched by something beyond this world. Some have been pulled back from the edge, literally and figuratively, by a force they could not see. A man standing near the edge of a cliff, lost in thought, suddenly feels a hand grip his shoulder and pull him back. He turns, expecting to see someone, but there is no one there. A woman who has lost all hope, considering ending her life, suddenly hears a voice whisper, "Not yet." She looks around, but the room is empty. The feeling that washes over her is so overwhelming, so real, that she knows she has been saved. Skeptics will try to explain it away. They will call it luck, chance, or coincidence. But those who have experienced it know better. They know that in moments of great need, when no human help is near, when all logic says they should not have survived, they were not alone. They know that some rescues are not of this world. There are moments in life that defy explanation, moments when the veil between heaven and earth feels thin, when the presence of something greater moves around us in ways we cannot see but undeniably feel. A sudden peace in the midst of chaos, a flash of light in the corner of our eye, a gentle touch when no one is there, a fragrance that carries the essence of something beyond this world, a feather placed in our path when we need reassurance, numbers appearing again and again as if carrying a message, a whisper in the silence, calling us to listen, help arriving in the most desperate of moments from hands unseen. These are not coincidences. They are reminders, they are signs, they are glimpses of a world beyond what our eyes can perceive. They come when we need them most, when our hearts are open, when our spirits are searching for reassurance. They are messages of love, of guidance, of protection, quiet yet powerful, subtle yet impossible to ignore. The world will try to dismiss them, to offer explanations that strip them of their wonder. But those who have experienced them know the truth. They know that these moments are not random. They are not mere accidents of chance. They are divine. They are the whispers of heaven, the presence of angels drawing near, reminding us that we are never alone.